For 25 years previous to moving to Socorro to work at New Mexico Tech, Iris Pascal, I went to school and subsequently worked at Scripps Oceanography in San Diego. Specialist was my job title, and I spent most of my time designing, building, and maintaining seafloor seismic instrumentation. My last years at SIO included going on several biological cruises studying whales using acoustical instruments. My reason for flying to Tasmania in particular, as part of my work. Okay, let's do the slideshow. Sorry. From beginning, okay, was to catch a Russian freighter, the Vasily Golovnin. It had been hired by the Australian Antarctic Division to resupply, repersonnel the Antarctic Australian stations. And I, because of the machinations of NSF and the whale scientific community, had a berth and a day's ship time to recover an instrument that was out in the middle of nowhere in between Mawson and Davis on the seafloor for a year. It had supposedly, and it did have some important data on it that gave some clues as to blue whale migration, along with other things. So to get to this ship, to get to Antarctica takes some paperwork. It takes getting the right medical permission. So I did go down a few days early instead of going home to make sure that got through. I had my medical work done in San Diego, but unfortunately the PA that did the work didn't feel it was important enough for him to send the paperwork to Australia. So I flew from Saipan, which is plus 20 north, down pretty much the same latitude, 145, straight south to Cairns and then on to Tasmania. And landed and did a loop around in the few days I had before the ship left. I think we had about a week, but it was Christmas time. So I got there the 23rd or 24th, I think, and did a nice drive loop through the country to kind of get an idea of Tasmania. Rented a camper van, which very nice way to see some country and save on hotel rooms and not have to register. And started driving through Tasmania. The first thing I noticed was that it looked foreign. It didn't look like California. It kind of looked what I had in my mind, sort of the idea of maybe Africa. Kind of thought I saw Australia there in the background. And a lot of farm country, a lot of very rich, lush farm country and through a lot of Tasmania. I think you can see in the center of those white fields, the whitish field in the center. Turns out those are poppies, Papaver somniferum. They're opium poppies, which I thought was kind of interesting. There'd be giant fields of it here in Tasmania, but talking to people, it seemed like it was the safest place the drug companies could grow them because there weren't a lot of dope heads in Tasmania. They also grow a lot of hops, and whereas there's not that much problem with dope, there is a tremendous amount of drinking that goes on. A lot of beer goes down the hatch in Australia in general and Tasmania as well. So I got, the first place I wanted to go was to Mount Field National Park, which was kind of the lower loop, the first stop to after the farmland up in the mountains. And they have a pretty remarkable tree right in the start of the park. It's the Eucalyptus regnans. They call it mountain ash, swamp ash. The lumberers call it Tasmanian oak, one of several things. And it has the distinction of being the tallest flowering plant known. They found one of these taller than any other flowering plant. You have to remember that redwoods are not flowering plants. They're a seedless or naked seed plant. They don't have flowers as such. So it's really nice getting into the park. We just kept going up land and see pretty fantastic kind of Dr. Seuss looking plants, the pandani, Richia pandani form, folia. Just find them quite striking. Tasmanian snow gum, beautiful bark, just variegated bark. And warata, I think this is a protea. It's related to plants in South Africa, and just a very striking plant that should be their national flower if it isn't. And as you get higher, you get into the tundra, kind of up above the trees, get into alpine coral fern, and just a tiny little plant, beautiful pineapple grass. And then came across, oh, let's go back one. Well, I was hoping to see a platypus. I didn't. I did see several of these guys on my trip. The echidna, extremely, almost blissfully unaware of the approach of anything other than what, when their snouts down in the ground looking for worms, they're safe as a bug. Who's going to try to bite that? Anyhow, they're cute little critters, and nothing that you could take home for a pet, but I thought they were pretty cool. And we kept going out of Mount Field to get to the hydroelectric area. These are the penstocks down to the generator building down there for the Clark Dam, one of their biggest hydroelectric dams in the country. I just point out how, well, you know, I could walk right out on the dam. It just, even back then in 2003, it was striking contrast security-wise to the States, and I guess it goes with the opium poppies as well. I kept going further west, getting into, looks like a limestone type country, but very, very beautiful country. I had a mission. I was asked to go to Queenstown and look for some crocolite to maybe get a good deal. And here it is. Here, it's just absolutely beautiful mineral, but very delicate, and not the kind of thing that I felt that I could. I think I did buy a little piece for a 90-year-old friend that I had that knew that was a place to get it. I kept around the loop going north to Cradle Mountain area here. Just absolutely beautiful little tiny plants. I have to try to find out what they are someday. And this beautiful orange red lichen, which kind of reminded me of the crocolite. It was too cloudy to see Cradle Mountain. But on to Sheffield, which is a farming community up in the plains where there's a lot of water, and it's a town of murals. I think the latest, now they have 140 some odd murals in town. And I like this one because it showed the Tasmanian tiger and the Tasmanian Devil. So that was my goal. That was number one goal, was to see Tasmanian Devil. I'd already known the Tasmanian tiger was long gone, extinct. So there's Sheffield. I kept going down back to Hobart to see how things were going, and found that, yes, indeed, no paperwork had shown up for me. Christmas Day, they got me a doctor's appointment to get my physical redone, which I thought was pretty remarkable. I didn't really see that happening in San Diego. So I got that done, and then it was just a matter of waiting around for the freighter. It had some delays, so I had a little time to check around the Hobart area. In particular, the Tasman Peninsula is an interesting place, and I was told that if you want to see Tasmanian devils, that's a place to see them. And Bruny Island, which I'll kind of end with here. The blue spots, those are places that I dove to get some underwater shots. So this is one off of Kingston. It's a black-lipped abalone, Haliotis rubra, which I found, I was just delighted to see it because I'd gone diving with Scripps divers, studied the abalone off Southern California, and I knew there were 4 species, but this is not one of them. So really love seeing new things, that new species added to my life list. And cool little fish swimming around, and interesting anemones, starfish. This guy's like escaping the sand pit. I see this giant starfish is kind of like a monster movie waiting to attack it. I don't know what happened. And oysters and little veniform little creatures that siphon the ocean. Very beautiful spot. The Cowell's boxfish, cute little guy, kind of pops up like a Halloween mask. So then after that, I did get time to drive down onto the peninsula. You can see here why it's a peninsula. There's just that one land connection. A couple of spots I thought were worth checking out: the tessellated pavement and the Tasman Arch. Tasman Devil Park's here, and Port Arthur's the last down here. I stop off. This is the walk over the Tasman Arch. I'm pretty sure this is some kind of a Banksia. I haven't identified it, but very typical to Australia. There's the Tasman Arch. Walk across it, that's where that Banksia was. And this is a tessellated pavement nearby. Just a Permian mudstone that's got a joint fracture that's perpendicular, so it makes very much like a tile surface. And then on to the Tasmanian Devil Zoo. This guy is one of my favorites, a tawny frogmouth, Podargus strigoides. Its mouth extends to about the left part of his eyeball, and it opens up. You can see why they call them frogmouths. They can eat just tremendous gulps of things. The Cape Barren geese. And Tasmanian Devil, they had them in a zoo. It looks ferocious, doesn't it? I was there during feeding time, and I have a video where they throw some meat, and mom's chewing on meat, and 2 babies come out. And, you know, think, oh, Tasmanian motherly love. Here, kids. No, it's like, hey, get away from my meat. So yeah, they were double. When it comes to eating, that's all they think about. And the Marcopus giganteus tasmaniensis, the Forster mianesis, Forster kangaroo. I definitely wouldn't want to box with him. Then before we get further spot down out of the park to Port Arthur, I have a quick story. These are the crew, Tasmanian guys I went to see with, some of the Australian Antarctic Division workers. The guy in the blue coat, Andrew, and next to him to the right, Chris, Massey brothers, and they operated the small boats off the ship. And then further to the right, Peter, I forget his last name, but he told the story of Port Arthur. I don't know if that rings a bell with any of you, but it's significant in that he was in the 1990s, I think it was 91, he was an officer that had to respond to a mass shooting in Port Arthur, where a guy with a AK, I don't know what it was, some semi-automatic or automatic with a big magazine, just started going through a campground killing people, and he killed quite a few before he was finally stopped. But this is Port Arthur there, kind of just a picture of it. What's interesting to me is that that's the last mass shooting there's been in Australia. That was 1990s. How many have we had since then? What's the difference? Why can they have the will to make good laws and we can't? So finally, we went down to Bruny Island. I had another car and drove into drove the road down, and there's a ferry that takes you across this inlet here. And it was beautiful. I got to see my first wallaby in the wild, Marcopus ferocious, the Bennett's wallaby or the redneck wallaby. Again, just sat there for quite a while. And this is fluted cakewalk, just a real beautiful walk along the cliff edge of one of the pretty places in Tasmania. I kind of stopped. This picture I didn't take. This is further down the coast at Cloudy Bay. This was taken earlier in 2003 by Wayne Pappas, who was a worker for the Australian Antarctic Division, and he was a photographer in Antarctica. And he fell to his death in this country taking pictures, doing what he loved. It's a nice lesson to me. So that was in Cloudy Bay where he died. It's a fluted cape here. Then kind of in here at this amazing isthmus between North Bruny Island and South Bruny Island. It's quite a remarkable geographic feature. And up at the top is, I'll leave you with this, is a memorial dedicated to the memory of Truganini. So she was the last native Tasmanian, last one, died in 1876. So I'm going to leave you with that. I just encourage you to check it out. It's a magical place, and really enjoyed the opportunity to get to go there. Thank you.